Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is the Advice Arena, where I give you advice on playing in Arena. As you can see this time around, we're starting a new run. I have selected Paladin as my class, and we've got the Hearth Arena companion app turned on here to help assist me in my draft, provide us some additional insights and some extra talking points, as well as I guide you through this draft process. I certainly recommend Hearth Arena. If you're not familiar with it, there is a link in the description if you want to try this out for yourself. But let's go ahead and jump into the first pick. And I happen to agree with Hearth Arena pretty strongly here that Steward of Darkshire is, in fact, our best option. This is a card that's not necessarily bad on turn 3 because it gives your opponent a lot to think about and can create friction and force them into some pretty suboptimal plays because they recognize the threat that Steward of Darkshire offers if they leave it on the board for a long time, so they kind of feel pressured to kill it immediately. But it's also good later in the game, right? It's kind of a 5-mana play that says summon a 3/3 and an Argent Squire, because you always have your hero power to guarantee an activation as long as you have 5 mana. And of course there are lots of cards in Paladin's set that help us summon lots of other 1 health minions, so the potential value for Steward of Darkshire can actually get pretty high. And as far as these other 3-drops are concerned, way less consistent of cards and much riskier picks. Silhouetted Swarmer is awful because as a Paladin, we don't even know that we'll get a weapon. And then if we do, how often will that weapon arrive at the exact same time as Silhouetted Swarmer and actually allow this to attack instead of just being a dead body on the board? Deathlord, usually you're going to get pretty solid value from it out of the board, but it's a riskier play and doesn't always trade all that well into stuff with 3 health, so it can kind of make an impact occasionally, but it's just a high-risk impact. At this point in the draft, we don't know that we need that at all, and we're better off just picking for consistency, particularly since these are all the same mana cost. So Steward of Darkshire, pretty easy choice. These are both pretty solid cards. So Blessing of Wisdom is not the choice according to Hearth Arena, and I agree. I think these two are pretty substantially more impactful. This is a bit of a slow card, right? Sometimes you can put it on an opponent's minion as a debuff of sorts that discourages them from attacking, but finding the right target for that and then actually having your opponent follow the advice or not just sitting on the minion forever, they don't just naturally obey your suggestions, right? So it can be a debuff. It can just be ignored and draw you meaningless cards as well because they're just killing you or making efficient trades. So a little too slow, a little too unpredictable in a sense. Whereas both of these cards can make a strong impact. Seal of Champions is the recommendation here by Hearth Arena, and I think I agree, although I sure do love me some Nerubian Prophet as well. The great thing about Seal of Champions, of course, is that it facilitates trading up pretty effectively and preserving your minions, right? So not only do you get the 3 attack, you get the Divine Shield. So you can put this on a Silverhand Recruit, kill something with 4 health, and then you've still got a 4/1 Silverhand Recruit laying around that has to be dealt with. And for some classes at some points in the game, that can be challenging, can create friction where you force out a hero power. So, you know, sometimes you can kill something for 3 mana and then steal 2 mana of their next turn, and that's a pretty big tempo advantage. So Seal of Champions is a nice card. And Nerubian Prophet's also great because, of course, eventually this can be a 0-mana 4/4, which provides you a big board swing. Just allows you to get something out for free, so you can have huge, giant turns at low cost. Plus, it can just be like a 3-mana 4/4 sometimes with no downsides, which is pretty fantastic. So if we get more of these, we might pick one. But for now, Seal of Champions makes a lot of sense. North Sea Kraken's amazing here. These other cards are nothing too spectacular, but North Sea Kraken's one of my favorite arena cards. Not only is it a big body, but it has an instant battle cry that almost always seems to line up. Like, you always have some value out of doing 4 damage. Whether it's just killing your opponent or taking out a minion or setting up a trade, the battle cry always works. 1-drops that are 2/1 really aren't terrible, just because if you get them out on 1, they can really skew your opponent's turn 2, can deny them from playing a 3/2, can encourage a hero power that puts them behind on board presence. And both of these have reasonable effects, right? There's nothing wrong with 2 health. Occasionally you might get this charge effect off that matters, but they just don't do quite enough compared to something like North Sea Kraken, which is just an amazing card. I like Avenge pretty well. These two 2-drops are both very low impact. Frostwolf Grunt, it just unfortunately dies to any 2/3. So it trades okay into 3/2s, but dies to 2/3. So it wins half the battles and only goes even the rest of the time. So not a good stat allocation for a 2-mana card. Plus the taunt, I mean, it's cool to have taunt, but it's only a 2-health taunt, so it rarely disrupts your opponent that much. Nearbar Weblord just doesn't have enough attack, right? It doesn't trade well on turn 2. Plus, sometimes that effect might actually hurt us with things like North Sea Kraken, so it could hurt us just as much as our opponents. Avenge, though, is a good thing. It's basically a 3/2 for 1 mana and can really punish your opponent's turns sometimes. Flame Juggler's pretty good. So it's really nice to get that out early and can still do work in the late game, too, and really make them question their plays. As I mentioned, Flame Juggler's the pick here. Just a good 2-mana card. 2/3 is a great stat allocation. This Battlecry can pick stuff off and make a surprisingly large impact. Dragonling Mechanic, it's got a bundle of stats, right? It's just a Chillwind Yeti with some split-off stats. The problem with that is, of course, that it doesn't trade very well into something like a Chillwind Yeti. Both parts would die, and you still wouldn't kill the Chillwind Yeti. So Chillwind Yeti trading into Chillwind Yeti, at least you're making an even trade, right? So there are some downsides to splitting stats like that. The Archmage here, he's just a pretty poorly statted 6-drop, and spell damage is probably least relevant in Paladin of maybe all classes. It's very unlikely to make much of an impact for us, so we'll look for better 6-drops certainly. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to taking this card if we needed a 6-drop later, but right now we can't pass up a card like Flame Juggler. Spectral Knight is good, and I actually like Light in the Darkness too, so... Hearth Arena is suggesting Redemption. I don't know if I'd go that route. Man. These are all really close according to Hearth Arena. I would actually put Redemption a little farther behind. I mean, I get that it can make a pretty big tempo play. You can summon something back that's huge and force out another trade from your opponent. I like Spectral Knight a lot, though. He's usually a very awkward card to deal with. And I like Light in the Darkness okay. We might want, a few card draw cards, and this gives you, it gives you the chance to get amazing stuff, right? You could get a Tyrion Fordring, right? It could be a 7/7. But even if it's average, you're still getting something that gets increased stats, so you're very likely to get a nice playable minion out of this. I guess I'll take Hearth Arena's advice, though. Even though the tier score on these is near identical across all 3, it's pretty much a toss-up. I'm curious what Hearth Arena has planned for us, and I want to take their advice, so I'm going to grab Redemption. I like Blessing of Might here, I think. Darkscale Healer. Okay, well, see, I would go the other way. I would have taken Blessing of Might and the Spectral Knight, although, of course, those cards don't go well together because you can't buff Spectral Knight. It's not about that. It's just it's a good minion. And I probably would have taken, and they're suggesting Darkscale Healer and Redemption. I don't know. I love Darkscale Healer as a card probably more than Hearth Arena, but I think it's less good in Paladin than in many other classes because we have Divine Shield, so stuff is less likely to take damage. And we have a lot of 1/1s and 1-health minions, right? Our deck is already supporting that mentality. So things are even less likely to, they don't have enough health to take damage. So I don't know. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense to me. Whereas this just, sometimes facilitates a nice trade on a minion. I guess I will say that we already have quite a few 1-mana spells, right? Like, you don't want 8 1-mana spells. It just makes your deck way too thin. So perhaps we can avoid Blessing of Might for a Darkscale Healer. Holy Light's just too low impact, right? Like, 6 health heal's not enough. You'd rather have the body and the 2 health heal 99% of the time. So this card just doesn't do anything to the board. It might occasionally save your life, but doesn't impact the board consistently enough. You do this on 2, it's just an unplayable card. So again, we'll follow Hearth Arena's advice here. I don't know that I agree. I like Twisted Worgen pretty well. I don't know. But I don't hate the card, don't get me wrong. I like Darkscale Healer as a card. I'm just not sure that I like it better than the alternative there. Okay. So Razorfin Hunter instead of Twisted Worgen. Intriguing. Very intriguing. We, of course, agree Silverback Patriarch is not very good. It just doesn't trade at all. It doesn't have that much health for a 3-drop anyway. Compared to something like a Fierce Monkey, you can see just how terrible this card is. It's not even a 2/4, so just not a great card. And here we've got Razorfin Hunter and Twisted Worgen. I guess the Razorfin Hunter does have some synergies with Steward of Darkshire, but so does Twisted Worgen. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn here. We already have, let's see, 1 2-drop, 1 3-drop, so that's not really a consideration. It is good with Avenge, that's true. It is good with Avenge, but bad with Redemption. We don't want to bring back a boar, right? So that's kind of a risk, but Avenge would be nice. We could get a cool 5/5 out of the first half of the Razorfin Hunter. Twisted Worgen, that makes a lot of sense in stuff like Seal of Champions and Paladin buffs in general and Steward of Darkshire, so I don't know. I guess we'll take the Hearth Arena pick again. I don't really love any of these. Light's Justice is intriguing. It's definitely an option, because Paladin, of course, does not have a way to do 1 damage consistently, which shows up surprisingly often in Arena. I mean, we do have our hero power, and that can occasionally do stuff, but opponents usually can keep up with your hero power relatively well, so you don't have a ton of dudes laying around to consistently ping, and Light's Justice can provide that. Lance Carrier, not that great, of course, because the body's just not good for a 2-drop. You generally prefer an Abusive Sergeant that's cheaper, and the battle cry is just as impactful. This thing just doesn't trade well for a 2-drop. Rarely does the permanent battle cry matter, so you're kind of paying a mana cost penalty versus Abusive Sergeant that rarely actually benefits you. Stone Splinter Trog is just a reasonable 2-drop, right? We need a lot of 2-drops, of course. It's one of the most important mana costs, or probably the most important mana cost in Arena, is hitting a good 2-drop. And even though the effect here rarely ever makes an impact because opponents don't consistently play spells enough to make it matter, it still does have some upside and can create awkward moments for an opponent. So I think this is a fine pick, but Light's Justice is also tempting. I'm torn between these two. But since Hearth Arena pretty heavily weights Stone Splinter Trog +5 here, I think we'll go ahead and grab that. And again, we do have some 1-drops, so all our Peacekeepers pretty amazing. So these are all not bad, though. I mean, even Dragon Consort, like, we're not likely to get a dragon that matters for this battle cry, but it's just a good minion, right? 5 mana, 5/5 is not bad. And Corrupted Healbot, of course, same thing, right? We will rarely care about the Death Rattle because we're not trying to rush our opponents down most of the time. We want to, we can afford to heal them and just play the body as a value body. But Aldor Peacekeeper is just ridiculous because you can totally negate a threat, even if it's just on turn 3. You can shut out their 2-drop and turn it into like a 1/2 instead of a 3/2. It could be a pretty big board swing that gives you the board basically for the rest of the game. So plus, of course, it's great against stuff like North Sea Krakens to just neutralize those. So it's the ultimate Guardians Venture Co-Mercenary, which you can basically negate its giant stats and still force your opponent to have the penalized mana cost. So pretty easy choice here, although I don't hate either of these cards. In fact, I think they're both pretty good. This is a set of cards. I'd be probably a little more leaning towards Humility if we didn't just grab the Elder Peacekeeper, but again, we have so many 1-mana spells already, and we're going to get another one here for sure, so that is kind of irrelevant. Because it's not a terrible card. Sacred Trial is a terrible card because you don't want your opponent to have 4 minions on the board, right? Like, that's a bad thing. And it's hard to predict if it hits something big or something little. Most people will play the big thing first and then the little thing after. So it's more likely that the little thing ends up being the 4th card, so you might kill a 2 or 3 drop instead of like the big 6 drop. And plus it means you're losing the game pretty hard, and this is not like a swing card. It's just like you're losing slightly less hard card. So not good at all. And Noble Sacrifice, if we get a Mysterious Challenger, we're going to be in business because we do have some secrets here. Or, frankly, any secret card, a Mad Scientist would be good, too. This one can be awkward, right? It can kill 3/2s if you get it out on turn 1. Can make your opponent make questionable decisions as well, which is actually pretty valuable. So I think I agree there. Acidic Swamp Ooze is the pick here. We've already got some good 3-drops, and we're not really liking either of these. Torn Warrior, it doesn't have Enrage right away, and it doesn't trade very well into 2-drop, so it usually just dies as a 2-3. So the Taunt's typically irrelevant, the Enrage is typically irrelevant, so pretty low value there. I don't know why... Oh, Outdoor Peacekeeper synergies, because you can set something else to 1 and then Enrage it. That makes sense, but super unlikely. Dancing Swords, it's not the worst card ever, because, you know, giving your opponent a card is typically worth it if this makes good trades on turn 3s and 4s. Like if you can kill a couple minions with this, you're okay to give them a card just to take the board. But not an amazing card by any means. Certainly some downside. We've got good 3-drops. Acidic Swamp Ooze, though, just another good value 2-drop with a reasonable body that has a potentially important effect, right? Just like Flame Juggler, just like Stone Splinter Trog. A 2-mana body with some upside, and you can't pass that down. I guess Mad Bomber is pretty good again. Another 2-drop that does the exact same thing, right? The problem with this, though, is that we're a Paladin, so sometimes we'll have 3 or 4 dudes out, Silverhand Recruits specifically, and this will kill them, which can be bad. Blessing of Wisdom we already talked about, pretty slow. Stormpike Commando doesn't look like much for a 5-drop, but I don't actually hate it. Sometimes that Battlecry can make a pretty big impact. Unfortunately, the body is not great, so not the best card. You can take it in a pinch, but if you've got a better alternative, like we do with Mad Bomber, pretty happy to take that. Oh, Warhorse Trainer, I guess, but Holy Light's still bad. Blessing of Wisdom's still bad. They really want us to take a Blessing of Wisdom. Come on, Hearthstone. I mean, sort of tempted, because we have a pretty low curve so far, which means we might run out of cards. We don't have any card draw yet. But if we get some cool turns with like Warhorse Trainer, Seal of Champions, and some dudes, we could be in a good spot. Plus, a 2-4 for 3 is not like the worst ever. Sometimes it will trade into 3-2s favorably. You know, it's got like the Flame Juggler, Imp Gang, Boss stat line. So it can work. It's just not ideal necessarily. So we'll go ahead and grab the Warhorse Trainer, see how it goes. Oh, man. I don't love any of these. More 1-drops. Like, geez, this curve. It's going to be so low. Like, we're going to have to win games. Tentacle N'Zoth is not normally as bad as it is here, but with all the stuff we will have that has 1 health and are going to have with 1 health, we don't want this. It could just kill our board, especially with stuff like Mad Bomber killing it. So not an ideal set, not an ideal card here. Not an ideal set of cards either, because we still don't like Sacred Trial, and Gadget's and Jouster is really not good. It's really a pretty weak card, particularly when you have a curve this low. Like, we have a lot of early game cards, of course. We have one late game card right now, so this is rarely ever going to win the Joust, right? Which means we're going to play a 1-2, which doesn't trade well into anything. It doesn't get buffs from the Steward of Darkshire. It could be a nice target for Seal of Champions, I guess. It could become a 4-2. That's about it, though, as far as upside on this card is concerned. It's bad with Redemption. Like, it could be an Avenged Body, I guess. It's not... Oh, Bog Reaper's amazing. It's wonderful. We need late game, too, mid to late game. We need 4-drops, desperately. And we need some late game, too. I still don't hate Light in the Darkness. Goldshire Footman, same problem as Gadgets and Jouster as far as the stats are concerned. And the taunt's pretty relevant when you've got a card like Bog Reaper here. Shattered Sun's not bad. We do have a lot of 3-drops, though. But still not bad. Same thing here. South Sea Deckhand, just too inconsistent, no weapons. Grotesque Dragonhawk, you're paying a pretty big penalty on mana cost as far as the effect is concerned. You're basically paying 2 mana or more to get Wind Fury. Problem is, of course, Wind Fury is super inconsistent. Cards don't have Wind Fury on defense, so they kind of just die to trades without actually ever getting to do that. So it's pretty slow and inconsistent card. Shatterstone Cleric, though, good with all these early minions, right? It can make a Gadgetzan Jouster relevant, and also good with our hero power. So nice fitting card for Paladin, as the art and theme would also suggest. Unfortunately, we're getting a little thick on the 3-mana spot, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I guess Bluegill Warrior's pretty decent comparatively. And I actually like Bluegill Warrior better than does Hearth Arena typically, so I'm a little higher than even 56 probably. Plus, it's got 1 health, so some synergies that we've talked about, of course. Same problem again. Undertaker, we have no Death Rattles, plus the stats are bad if you don't have Death Rattle, so typically just a dead card, much like Hedgett's Handchouster. So Bluegill Warrior has some trade value. Oh, these are intriguing. I think Divine Strike is probably the recommendation, but I still don't hate Light in the Darkness. I kind of want to get one of these, but there's always something slightly better. Magma Ranger, despite having the synergy with Steward of Darkshire, right? It's only 1 card that it synergizes with, and very unlikely because they're both the same mana cost. So rarely ever will that be relevant. And otherwise, this just dies to everything for free. So you're paying a lot of mana for a card that dies to hero powers quite consistently. Divine Strength, though, it doesn't look like much on its own. It's like +1 attack. What can you do with that? And I don't think it does a lot in constructed play either. But in Arena, it's surprising how often I feel like this card burns me when other Paladins play it. Like, it typically sets up trades in pretty crazy ways, because 2 health is really quite good for 1 mana. So we'll take the Divine Strength here and see if we can't make it work. But again, a lot of 1 mana spells. My god, this is awful. I think this is the pick. Yeah. It's a bad card, but it's a 4-drop, which we need, right? We don't have any 4-drops, and we've only got 10 picks after this left. So, because Angry Chick is just awful, and Master Swordsmith's pretty bad. Yeah, we'll have a lot of stuff to buff, but it doesn't trade at all on turn 2. It can't kill 3/2s, it just dies for free. And it can't impact 2/3s either. Like, it dies for free to those eventually as well. So just terrible at trading. Not a good card. Ancient Shade is also a bad card, in my opinion, right? It's got some upside, granted. With Divine Shield and stuff, it could be pretty crazy. But the Battle Cry is pretty punishing, and just not... At 4 health, right, it's just not that strong. If it was like a 4/7 for 4, you could take that Battle Cry any day of the week, because those stats would be insane. But as it stands, I don't love it, but it's certainly the best pick here. Peacekeeper's probably good again. It's just too good, despite all of these 3-drops. Anything can happen. Obviously, way slow. We have 1 Murloc, so we'd be paying 10 mana to summon a 2-mana card. Not efficient. Corrupted Healbot, I still like okay, and we could actually use the body. But the thing is, like, why do you need a 6/6 if you can just shut down their 6/6, right? Like, Outlaw Peacekeeper is just too good. It's a strong card, so I think we have to take that. Consecration, but Scarlet Crusader's not bad, but Consecration, we need 4s, we need removal. Jouster's still bad. I love Scarlet Crusader, and it doesn't actually have synergy with our Steward of Darkshire, but it does have synergy with Paladin buffs and stuff in general, so good 3-drop, but we're heavy on 3s, and Consecration's a great card, of course, because any board clear in Arena is powerful, particularly when you don't have any 4-mana plays anyway, so... God, I hate these cards. This is a bad draft so far. We need like a Tyrion or something, or some 4-drop, something to bail us out. I mean, Tinoco is off, still bad, terrible synergy with our deck. Lowly Squire, it's okay in a deck where you expect a hero power on 2 a lot, because then you can kind of turn this into a valuable card eventually. I think the problem for us is we have a lot of like 2-drops and playable cards, so I don't know how often we're going to be hero powering. Like, I don't know that the Inspire's ever going to go off. The problem with Faceless Behemoth, I mean, you might think, oh, you need a late game card. Well, no, our deck's really early game oriented, so we don't really need any. We might want like a couple 4s and a 6 or 5s or something, but no more like super bombs. Because we can't last that long. We don't have the card draw. And this card's just too slow anyway. It doesn't have taunt. It takes forever to kill stuff. Just not a good card. So Lowly Squire is the pick. I just don't really think it's great. Venture Comer's there. We talked about that. With Outlaw Peacekeepers, we don't have that risk so much, right? But I'm a little tempted here, right? These are all pretty close as far as the Hearth Arena score is concerned. Even Solemn Vigil makes some sense because we don't have any card draw, right? If we want a chance, like a second chance to win the game, if we don't win it early like we should, this can kind of bail us out and give us some options. But I don't think that's a line of play that maybe wins us more than one game, right? It typically will just still lose us the game. So we'd rather be sure we're consistent early and guarantee that we get a strong start and just run over our opponents. So that's kind of the same problem with the Venture Mercenary, right? Like, it's down here, so it may not help us win, which I think we like Worgen Infiltrator for that reason, right? It's good with all this other early stuff. Make sure we have bodies out for like Avenge and Redemption and trades early. It sets up nice Seal of Champion buffs because of the stealth. Plus, we're low on 4s. We have a ton of 3s, so the more we can combine a 3 and a 4 to make sure we have a consistent turn, that can be pretty powerful as well. So I think I've been talked into. Murloc Knight's great here. Super card anyway, and we need 4s. So it makes a ton of sense. Okay, so I should just talk about the others real quickly. We're for sure taking this, but Spawn of N'Zoth, pretty slow for 3-drop. We have a ton of 3s anyway. What I mean by slow is that it doesn't have good stats, so it can die for free. Your opponent can clear the rest of your board, kill it last. So the death rattle's really hard to get off, and it doesn't contest the board. Number Gun Infantry, actually the same kind of problems. It doesn't trade at all. Your opponent can just kill it freely and hasn't accomplished anything, right? So Murloc Knight, though, on the other hand, super powerful 4-drop that requires an answer, and an even better 6-drop, I would argue, because you can for sure get another Murloc out of it and make huge plays. This draft is just awful. We do seriously need a 4-drop, and these are both awful. Just terrible. Dollar Mage is a miserable card in every way, right? Same problem with the stats here as the Nomergon guy from last time. Plus spell damage is almost totally irrelevant. We have 1 spell damage card. So not a play there. These are, as you can tell, Hearth Arena agrees. It's very debatable here. I normally would probably lean towards Oasis Snapjaw just because the stats are more consistent. But Dragonling Mechanic, and what I mean by the stats are more consistent is that it can trade and not die a little easier, so it sticks around more. Whereas these stats, it can be kind of hard to piece together how to attack and keep stuff alive, and it's just more of a pain. But the advantage here, though, is that it's good with stuff like Avenge, and having a little token is good with sort of Darkshire, and I don't know. Multiple bodies is better, probably, with our deck. Like Shatterslane Cleric, we have a lot of buff mechanics, so that if the little 2-1 lived, it could be very valuable. So we'll go ahead and grab that. I think we'll take the Northsea Kraken, but it's honestly kind of slow. I'm scared that we're going to end up with a game where we have like the Bog Creeper, Northsea Kraken, and just lose. But we don't need 3-drops, though, is the problem. We have so many 3-drops. We need 4s and 5s. Maybe another 2, honestly. We could afford another 2-drop. We really only have 4 or 5 2-drops. 3 that are like, excuse me, 4 that are like value. Bluegill, you don't always want to play on 2. So, but we do have the hero power, of course. Yeah, I think I'll take the Kraken. The Panther is fine, particularly with buff cards. It can be pretty good. The Spider Tank's great as well. Just good stats, of course, for the cost. Trades very well. But I think the Northsea Kraken does make the most sense. It's just really an amazing card, don't get me wrong. Normally I'd be thrilled, but our deck's just a little awkward. I think, oh, these are debatable. Oh, this is actually good too with whatchamacallit, Steward of Darkshire. But that's hard to pull off, right? So Hearth Arena is really sending us down the 4-drop path right now because we only have 3 minions we can play on 4. I do like the Gnomish Inventor's card draw. I'll be honest, it could be relevant. But I don't know. I think we kind of have to go all in on swarming, right? I'm not sure I agree with this one. Normally, Sanitous Darkness is kind of a risky card. It's like, yeah, you get a 5/5 for 5, but unfortunately it's very AoE susceptible. It doesn't trade like a 5/5. Like everything dies to 1/5 instead, you know, instead of killing it. So it's an awkward card. Of course, there is the crazy Steward of Darkshire, Stand Against Darkness turn, but that's like an 8 mana turn, and it's really slow for this deck and inconsistent because you can't load this up a turn early. It usually dies. I think this is the best card for sure. I love Frost Elemental. And we actually could use a 6-drop, right? I think it's possible. But I'm going to take the Hearth Arena advice. Make sure we have a consistent curve here. The problem is like, yeah, we need 4-drops, right? But we need 4-drops that really contest the board. Not like Gnomish Inventor. Because we're going to be like rushing the board. I guess this is a good body for the Shattered Sun and the buffs and the Avenge and Divine Strength and stuff. We could turn it into a 3/6. It's pretty good stats. I'll take the advice, but I think honestly I like Frost Elemental better. I feel like I'm going to... Oh, God. I think we take Novice, right? Really? The Voodoo Doctor? I don't know. They're all so bad. Novice feels like the best card to me. I guess Hearth Arena technically agrees too, right? The tier score is slightly higher. But it's suggesting Voodoo Doctor has a positive effect on our deck archetype. I don't know if I agree with that. What are we going to heal? Like, nothing trades. Everything dies. It is a 2/1 that works, but they all are 2/1. All have 1 health, so that's not a relevant decision point. I don't know, man. I guess we'll take the Voodoo Doctor because it's the recommendation, but frankly, I'm like, where's the concede button? How do I end this run early? Because I just don't think we have a shot. This deck is awful. We have 3 good cards, I guess 4 good cards, but look where they're at, right? We have all this junk. Elder Peacekeepers are good too. I don't know. It's possible to win. Corrupted Healbot. That's the pick. So see, now we have this deck where we gotta rush people down, really swarm the board, and then we're gonna play a card that heals them. Oh, shoot. I'm not happy with this at all. Blackwater Pirate could be okay. We had like 3 True Silver Champions, but we don't get offered True Silver Champions because that's a good card. And there's no good cards in this list. There's no room for good cards in this run. Light Warden, you know, we have a couple heal effects, but another 1-drop that's inconsistent is the last thing that we need, right? We have plenty of those. So we'll take the Corrupted Healbot. I agree with this, even though it's not fitting at all, and I don't love it by any means. We'll see if it can work. And then we'll cancel out of this stuff. We don't actually want Hearth Arena to help track our stats. We just want it to help us draft, right? So what on earth do we call this deck? Man, I don't know. I think it has to be something with a 1-drop, right? I found it. I know what the name is. The name is the Lowly Paladin. It's not only because it has a low curve, because I have very low expectations for this deck, and it includes the Lowly Squire. So this is most definitely the Lowly Paladin run. Let's see if the Lowly Paladin can actually string together a few wins. I do not like this deck. I don't like the playstyle of this deck. I don't like the card quality of this deck. I don't like anything about this deck, frankly, and if we get to 3 wins, I'll be ecstatic. If we get farther than that, I'm just going to be over the moon. This is one of those runs you kind of just want to retire. You know you're not going to have fun playing it. We're just going to be out of cards constantly. We're never going to be able to do anything. And I don't know how to mulligan. I guess this is a great mulligan. Acidic Swamp Ooze could be good, right? But maybe not on turn 2. I think we actually want more consistent turn 2 plays. That's like a turn 4 thing for... It's not a bad curve. I mean, this could die to this, though. If this hits, it's going to be amazing because we don't have any late game cards. Really? That's not a 6-drop. That's a 3-drop. Actually hit one of our high-end cards, so we almost had that. This is good against Paladin hero power, so I don't know. He doesn't have the 2-drop. I'm fairly sure this is going to kill this, but I don't care. I think someone predicted that. I don't know. Maybe rewind the video and see if somebody predicted that. I heard some guy in the back say, I think this is going to kill this. That's pretty slow. That's good. As long as he didn't get like a crazy 3-drop out of that, we might be okay. Because he's going to have... he may not have trouble killing this. He can coin True Silver. So playing this is sort of risky, right? But I'm going to do it anyway. If he does coin True Silver, he'll also have to kill this, and he will take 6 plus 7. It's like 13 damage out of that. Well, actually, 16 damage out of that exchange. He'll heal 4, so it's like he'll take 12. But there's also the chance he doesn't have the True Silver, right? So, plus it could make his plan a little awkward. He could skip a 3-drop to coin the True Silver. Plus, if he doesn't, we can play this to get a free Argent Squire. Could also play a 2-drop hero power if that lines up better for mana cost considerations. Probably skip this if we can get this out. He's also got Hammer of Wrath or whatever to kill this, I suppose. But that's, again, a pretty slow play. Our Mad Bomber will just be hitting. Okay. That's a card. The fact that it has 5 health is actually irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. I think I have to kill it, right?
Let me think.
Don't think there's any way I can let that live. I could play this and this and get a free Argent Squire out of it. But the redemption's not so great against that. I'm tempted to try to get value out of this, but I don't know. This could also just like apply 14 damage over the next couple turns. So I don't know. I kind of like this better. That's never going to be relevant. We're never going to draw into that in time. That will never kill us, at least. We know that. Our games will end well before that ever has an impact. It's such a good card against that. I think I'll play the Razorfin in both secrets. He's likely going to trade this way. I could get punished if he trades this way a little bit, right? But even then, like, that means this might live. So either way, it's like this might get to hit for 7 again. He could we could find like lethal next turn, honestly, or close to it, right? We have 10 on the board. This is an extra 3. We wouldn't quite have lethal, I guess, but something like Consecration could hurt me a lot. If he's not careful, though, he may not be able to kill this because of the Avenge. He probably thinks it's a Noble Sack, which is a reasonable concern. So he made the right decision. And he got rewarded, because if it hit this, he wouldn't have been able to kill this. Like, that's so frustrating. Really frustrating. Oh my god, what a stud. That's like not a good card even. It's not a good card. So I'm not going to kill that for him. He can obviously trade this way, but it means he takes another 7 damage, right? And I have to kill him, like, now. We can't win this game, though. This game is pretty much over. He played like a baller against those secrets, so what can I do? That's even worse. Now he gets to trade into that pretty reasonably. That card's not very good. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this, hope for like a Doomsayer, because that would be the ultimate troll answer. He can trade here, trade here. We have 2 damage going face, 3 damage going face. Like, we're never gonna be able to build a board that wins the game. Absolutely never. We'll try to pick away at his health, but we don't have any chargers, we don't have any weapons, like, we don't have cards to kill him. That's the problem with this deck. Like, it's an aggro deck almost, but no finishers. We draw North Sea Kraken, we might be back in the game, or Bog Creeper. We'd have to draw, like, Runner, Bog Creeper, North Sea Kraken right now, though, to get back in the game. Even then, it's risky. It's not likely. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Oh my god. We have literally entered the 7th circle of hell right now. It's the first half, but... So now he gets to make favorable trades all day. Probably has Consecration anyway, the way this game's going. This could get us a little back, but I mean, what are we going to pick off and kill here? He'll trade like, he might just go face. I don't know. He has oh my god. That's what we needed. That's going to help. God, he can clear the board now. He can go boom, 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 boom. Oh, he can't clear. He'll leave 1/1 up. If he goes either, if he uses this to clear this, we can North Sea Kraken it, but then he still has the champion, so. Consecration might actually be a good draw here. Consecration? No. I had to do it that way, even though it leaves the Moogles alive, like, and he's going to be able to kill it for free with this Loot Hoarder, which is just stupid. It took the most damage off the board, because we're almost dead, right? He had to stay alive. With the 6/1, he could have killed us. Probably. Still probably can. He's got 12, he's going to get 2 more, so he needs 3 damage. And this is the card we drew. And he also heals, so great news. He cannot pass that trade up. And exactly what we feared would happen has happened. And we'll make him a giant dude, just for fun. I hate this deck. I hate it. Give it double buffs. Make this a monster. I want to see it. It's already got Might of the Monkey, Optimism, and Seal of Champions. Now it's got 2 Might of the Monkeys. Well, yeah, that's pretty much what we expected to happen, honestly. I mean, he made one really great play, though. He really played around Redemption and Avenge both. That turn was just ridiculous. If that turn had gone better, we had a chance to just push him over, right? Like, hit him for 7 again, win the game, but... a lot of things went wrong there. The Gadget Sand Jouster missed. But again, this deck is just bad. So we'll play one more game in this video, see how it goes. It's going to be a 2-part run, 0-3. I see it now. I'll go ahead and keep the Avenge, and actually the Gadget Sand Jouster, and the Steward of Darkshire. The Bog Keeper, as good as it is, we want another 2-drop or something. This is actually not a bad hand. I'm going to coin the Gadget Sand Avenge, and then play the Bluegill, and probably go face and just let him proc the Avenge for me. Depending on how stats line up and stuff. Hopefully he doesn't play a 1-drop. That could disrupt my plans. But he will, because that's how the game works. It's okay. Gadget Sand actually lines up against that anyway, even if it misses the Joust here. At least it trades, you know. Ooh, we won a Joust, boys. So yeah, I may, if you unstealth that to a test for Noble Sacrifice, I may actually heal my guy here. I'm actually going to heal my guy anyway. Could also Bluegill, I guess. Actually, it's probably just better. He'll want to kill the Bluegill. Or he'll actually kill this guy, but it will proc the Bluegill as a nice buff here. So this will be a 5/3, which is pretty good on turn 3. Well, he messed up his trade there. Hopefully he did it before the secret proc, so he just sacrificed his minion for nothing. Oh, cool. We can actually heal this too, which is nice. Do I go face or do I trade? Do I play this and trade? That lets this die though. I think I'll do this route. We'll actually kill this. And heal here. And I know this could be good against Shaman. No, actually, we'll hero power. It's fine. We'll save this. It could be very relevant. Plus, it just dies to this for free, which I'd rather these things die for free. He'll just Lightning Storm here, and we're gonna lose. Oh, that's scary. That's really, really scary. I can actually kill it. Oh man, shame I didn't get a Divine Shield card, right? Like, come on. Do I kill it or not, is the question. Is the Steward of Darkshire more valuable over the long term, or is this 5/4 more valuable over the long term? I'm almost definitely going to do this no matter what.
Back to your homes.
The question is do I trade for him, or do I... I'm going to have 5 attack out. It's his turn 5, but he's overloaded 1, so it's his turn 4. I think I'm gonna trade. This thing could be super duper valuable, and we would have had, you know, 6 attack, and now we have 5 attacks. It's not that different. Flame Wreath Faceless could really ruin us. Spider Tank is sort of good. Actually, it's pretty good. I need like a card I can play here that's relevant. He's gonna kill my Steward for free, so maybe I have to hero power to get more value out of it. Stone Splinter hero power. I'm not gonna kill that for him. Make him make the trade here. Gets punished by like Lightning Storm, but only sorta, because we have 2 Divine Shields and it could miss, so. We're still losing really hard. He has 5 cards. We don't have much of a board. It looks like a lot, but it's actually pretty weak. This is good to refill our hand a little, but it won't be strong enough. If he plays like a Doomhammer, we could come back. Because he'd waste a ton of mana. That didn't actually help him any. That's totally fine for us. It's no different than... It's actually a pretty bad totem in this scenario. Because we could just kill it for free. Oh! Never mind. It's an insanely good totem. God! What a ridiculous outcome! It's a good card, but my god. What do I kill here? I guess I kill the minions and make that a... But then it can trade into my Gnomish. If I killed this... his trades are a little more awkward. So if I kill the 2 minions, right, this can go here, but he can't kill anything else. If I kill the Flame Tongue and kill all my stuff, I guess I'll kill the minions and leave the Flame Tongue. I don't know. It's not ideal, right, because he can trade here, but it leaves me with more stuff. And I'll be able to protect that stuff with the Bog Creeper. Plus, I want this to die too, so I don't know. It's a 2/4, whatever. Because right, he could have traded the 3/2 and the 2/1 anyway, and he'd be in the same spot. Surprisingly good here. That's also just overpowered. It's kind of ridiculous. It's gonna kill my dudes, and I won't be able to kill this, which makes the Bog Creeper terrible. I cannot send the Bog Creeper in to die to a 6/2, and I can't send this in to die. So, I think I'll play these guys out, and I'll even waste my Acidic Swamp Ooze I've been holding, so he'll Doomhammer this turn, and kill my guys. I cannot deal with that thing. That's gonna ruin me over a long-term period. He's gonna go face, though. That might help. Consecration could be really relevant here. Smart, you got the free heals, so. Mad Bomberer. Okay, could be good. Could be good. But I mean, could also kill my guys, so how do you do this, right? I think we kill this no matter what. Although, I don't know, this is actually the threat right now. So we could just kill it, leave the rest alive. But the Mad Bomber would have to hit a big roll. I guess I'm gonna kill this. And I can't play this outright. It dies to 2 junk dudes. So I need this to kill this guy. Come on, Mad Bomber. We'll touch you for luck. We'll touch you for luck. We're touching you. Totally wasted because of the heal. So that didn't do anything. Yeah, I know. It's over, dude. We get it. The game is over. Again, runner. North Sea Krakens could maybe help me, but other than that, I don't see how we win. Spiteful Smith's not great. I mean, it's good. It's a 5-drop, don't get me wrong, but it's not like he's going to win the game right now, at least. But he can make some good trades. I would actually trade this into this into this, and this into this. You give up the Flame Tongue, but who cares at this point? Or, you know, just Rockbiter off the top. That's totally fine, too. That's no big deal. Just keep your 6 health guy alive. Ooh, that's a card. So he's kind of low on cards, too, now. Like, we're halfway sort of back in the game. Because we can play this in a dude. And if he can't kill this, or hex it, or deal with it, and he has a bad hand of like 1-drops, we could be okay. That's actually not bad anymore. It's normally kind of bad, but after turn 9, it's fine, right? So he has a way to kill this pretty easily, but I still have to play it to contest the board. I mean, there's no getting around that. You can just send 2 4-drops in. Hopefully he doesn't hex or something. He has hex. That's a hex right there. I need the North Sea Krakens, right? We cannot draw, like, Redemption right now. Redeeming a Silverhand Recruit is not going to win me the game. That's actually annoying. If I'm him, I'm trade. Oh my god. I would have traded if I was him. I don't know. That's a card. I'll play it. I'll take it. I'll take it. And this could either hit here or here and be relevant. Probably actually, that's the worst target, but whatever. He's almost definitely going to get the heal totem, so that's probably a wasted attack. But, you know, we have to do it just in case he gets the searing totem. So he did get the heal. God, what a ridiculous thing to happen right now. So I definitely cannot kill this, ever. I needed the other Aldor. So I'm probably dead here, right? Or very close to it. I think I have to buff this to trade here. I don't want to send my Aldor in to die for nothing. Could make the Aldor a 4/4, I guess, but... Kill this, but then this still lives and I'm dead, right? So I have to kill that. And, we'll kill the Spell Power Totem. It's about all we can manage, right? And, he has 8 damage, so he needs 1 damage to win the game. But alternatively, we have 9 damage, so we can't win ever. He doesn't have it, right? He looks like he's looking for answers here. Aldor Peacekeeper would be amazing. North Sea Kraken would be good. We'll get, like, Redemption, though. Oh, God. That's the game. We can't compete against that. We can't even deal with that. Whether that probably was the game, let alone this. Well, Murloc Knight needs to be, like, something amazing. I don't think there's any card that wins here. We got Finley, so cool. That's gonna do the trick. Yeah, it does turn out that this would have won him the game. We would have been able to kill that, but you could show it would have won anyway, in hindsight. So, all right. So the lowly Paladin is living up to expectations so far. This deck is awful. I just do not understand how this deck is supposed to win a game. I do not see it. We even like hit the Jouster that turn. Maybe we should have just went face and let him pick apart our board instead of trying to clear that that giant 4-drop dude. Maybe we just face deck, just smork it up. I don't know, but that's going to have to happen in a future video because that's going to do it for part 1 of the lowly Paladin. By God, I hope there's at least a 5-minute part 2 because I'd hate to go 0-3 with this miserable deck. But thanks for watching anyway. I hope you tune back in to watch this deck's terrible, awful, unbelievable, horrible demise. And until next time, game on.